Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Patrons video, a custom monthly music review that I am making for Andreas. And today, we're going to be checking out a track from an act named Shunza, titled Go Home. And if we switch over to here, we've got this track on the screen. I should probably put this into theater mode. There we go. And we're going to listen through this track from start to finish. I want to hear what we think. It also should be noted that we do have lyrics to check through after this. So yeah, let's go. Interesting panning of those pianos on the right. Like, I can tell they've kind of panned it so that the right hand is on the right of the stereo field, which is kind of cool. Gives you the perspective of the actual pianists themselves. Fantastic vocal technique. Sensational vibrato. Fantastic slides and little bits of intricacy in the background there. It's three-dimensional, you know? It's got some depth to it. Then back into the section here, you know, hook, of course. Very sentimental vocal performance, you know. When we talk about Go Home, it kind of sounds like she's missing home, you know. Great choice of instrumentation with the double bass and the pianos. It's got that classical kind of that classic ballad format there. Great gradual development. I'm kind of going insane though, because it kind of sounds like her vocals are panned a little bit to the right of the stereo field, and I'm not sure if that's to do with the video or not. Hang on, I just have to go do a sanity test. So yeah, no, I am. Her vocals are panned slightly to the right in the stereo field, and I'm not quite sure why that is. Whether that's because she wants to be on the side of the piano with the brightness of that. Yeah. Yeah, those rises in that head voice, ironically, such great body to it. They sound nice and full. It's an elegant ascension there with those melodies. It's a great captivating vocal performance from Shunza. You know, the accompaniment is very supportive of her. You know, very gentle sort of mixture of mezzo forte or mezzo piano and ghost note bits of notes fill there. Reasonably friendly triads going on in the harmony. Multiple string parts add a little bit of glitter occasionally in those higher ranges. I personally feel as if it would have been better to have had the actual crowd clapping with her, to have actually had that foley there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would have been great to have actually had a live performance. There's a little bit of an audio-visual disconnect going on there when you can't, like, you can see people playing the piano, but you can't hear the applause or anything like that, you know? Doesn't sort of detract from the experience though. And I know the song is vocal oriented, but it would have also been nice to maybe had an additional lead element there, like if they were gonna tease sort of piano lines or sort of lead guitar bits there to have maybe a unison note or something like that that she could have bounced off. Especially if she's going with a similar approach to the sequencing of the theme in this part. It's interesting, yeah, like, what else do I want to say about this track so far, because I know I'm pausing it a little bit. Now, clearly, this is an opportunity for Shunza to showcase her abilities as a performer. Oh, great. I like that little run there with that chromaticism in there, that semitone shuffle there, that blues scale. Great work there. That was something a little bit new. Yeah, excellent. You know, it's articulate in communication, you know. You know, she's got a great stage presence. The rest of the instrumentalists and people around her, there's a great chemistry between them as well. Yeah, and I suppose that's the video, right? We've got the lyrics as well, though. So I think this track is about someone not understanding why their lover left, you know. Every night they're alone. They love you and they're inseparable. Too bad my tears flow down. You know, return home. They want them to come back. The home doesn't feel the same without that person, like in the same house as you, you know. Yeah, especially missing the person at night. Be there, my one and only love. Yeah, no, this is fairly simple and understand. Because this is the conclusion of my review of Shunza's Go Home. Yeah, Go Home and Come Home are two very different things, so I'm glad we got the clarification about the context to that, especially if you're in relationships. If you want your partner to go home, that's usually, yeah, it's a different ball game, you know. Let's talk about it. I think we've spoken about what this track is about again in the lyrics section. I firmly believe it's about maybe Shunza, her own experience, wanting her lover to return back. She misses them. The way she performed and how sincere it seemed makes me think that it's something she's actually been through. So she misses that person in her life. And I'm sure that this is something that a lot of people will be able to resonate with and appreciate. You know, I think a lot of people have been in a position where they have maybe been through a breakup or a separation, or maybe they just aren't with their lover or their person in their life. And it doesn't even need to be a lover. Maybe, you know, it could be like a really, really close friend or like a family member or something like that, you know. Sometimes you just need those people back. And so that's what this track is about. Shunza's vocal performance here was spectacular. Really great exploration of her range, her technical ability, her ability to communicate the story as well as, you know, vibe and match with the tone and intent of the music itself. I think that we were comfortable in both. I just didn't head voice. Lovely legato and vibrato passages there. Great dynamic range to the performance as well. We were very comfortable belting it out or showing a little bit of restraint, fragility, or vulnerability there. I think the vocals were the highlight of this performance. I think they were the main focal point and absolutely smashed them. The structure and motif of this track, I didn't really talk about what was going on in the accompaniment, and that's because genuinely with this track, I didn't necessarily find the backing of it particularly interesting or engaging. I don't think it was meant to be particularly interesting or engaging in the sense that I don't think it's bad. It's just that I've heard a lot of music like this and it didn't necessarily wow or like amaze me. It wasn't revolutionary, but then again, often people need a neutral backing in order to sort of stand out as the singer. So in that respect, I think it's totally appropriate. You had the vocal da-da-ba-da, da-da-da-da-da-da, you know, that kind of stuff going on over like a 4-chord progression for most of the track. You know, sometimes we resonated with the root note or we stuck with that, but basically most of the time it was the 4. And I mean, like, let's be real with each other. What more do you need most of the time apart from that 4-chord progression? It's not that we had extensions or triads, or we didn't necessarily mess with the texture or timbre of those elements. If there were interesting intervals, they were either through the vocal melodies and how they harmonize with the other elements, or they were because of the different little bits of flicker and stuff going on from those little fingerpicked guitar parts, maybe some of the piano bits or something like that. You know, a little bit of extra spice or zazz that were very intermittent, but nonetheless elevated the track. To a certain extent, anyways. I think the performance was eloquent and absolutely smashing. I think that, you know, the performance on, again, the strings, the bass, the drums, the guitar, the piano, like, all those parts were great. It had a nice warmth to it. I appreciate the fact that it sounded like we were all playing in the same room. I don't think you can get away with recording a track like this remotely. You need to be with that instrumentalist or that singer. You need to all be feeling that music, if you know what I mean. You need to have that connection now. Otherwise, it could come across as insincere. And I know that's kind of an abstract, kind of airy-fairy kind of thing. But trust me, man. You get enough people in a room when they feel similar, and that's when the real humanity comes out. You just don't necessarily get the same kind of vibe if you're imagining what that person would have felt like if you're like 1,000 miles away or something like that. You know, it's with what happened during the pandemic when people were having to record from different countries, or even nowadays when people hire musicians online, and they just hope to heck that people can capture the magic and the representation they want of their artwork and their life, because a lot of people put their life into their music. Ultimately, though, I think they smashed the performance. It was not a note out of place. It was matched the story well. The intensity of the performance was genuine, and it was professional. And the production, recording, mixing, and mastering had a great warmth to it. It was very kind of caring and loving and vibrant. It was also a commercial release. It was relatively conservative in the way it was mixed. There was not a huge amount of spicy production decisions made. The vocals relatively raw and organic, save for maybe some reverb on the FX chain or something like that. She could clearly sing. She didn't need any work done on her pitch. The rest of the instruments were filtered well, EQ'd well, and had their own place in the stereo field. The leveling of the instruments in the mix was phenomenal. I've mentioned the fact that I didn't understand why the vocals were slightly to the right, although that could simply be a me thing. Maybe I've put my headphones on the wrong way today. I'm not being facetious. I genuinely, as a music reviewer, question myself before I question the design decisions of people that I'm listening to, because I have to. Because if I don't, I look like an asshole, you know? So nonetheless, I think that, you know, aside from those kind of the interesting panning thing, decision there with the vocals for most part, everything else in this track was absolutely stunning. It sounded again like a live performance, even though it was kind of weird that we didn't have the clapping. I think that would have been cool to have there. It's a shame, you know. I actually think this is a missed opportunity, even if it was like quiet as like a ground bed kind of device there, just to make it seem a little bit more like they were actually playing live, you know, and in front of the people, you know. Maybe there were some people who said maybe they tried to do that initially, but then they couldn't because like the audio wasn't good or something. I don't know. That can happen. You know, people can have the best of intentions, but something can come in, and it's just better to just hope nobody notices. The limiting compression was stunning. It was nice and loud without pumping. I genuinely don't have any complaints about the production side of things. You know, aside from not being super impressed or like blown away by the actual you know, like the hook melody was catchy and it made sense with the lyrics, but like aside from not being super elevated by the actual theme, that the accompaniment, and despite the one thing with the vocals, everything else was damn near flawless. And that's my SP Patrons review of Shunza's Go Home. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out Shunza's various social medias, and I'm sure they're on YouTube or wherever they are these days. And stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.